Welcome to 5.6 half angle identities. We'll start with example 1, where we need to find the exact value of A, cosine of 112.5 degrees, and B, sine of pi over 8. So clearly 112.5 degrees is not a special angle. However, it is half of a special angle. So we need to write this as cosine of something divided by 2. In order for these to be equivalent, we could just do 2 times 112.5 degrees. Since technically the 2's could cancel out, this will clearly equal 112.5 degrees. So what we need to do is multiply 2 times 112.5 degrees. So this will be the same as cosine of 225 degrees over 2. Now we are ready to use our half angle identity. So over to the right, I just showed that this is our cosine of A over 2. So our A is 225 degrees. So when we go to the next step, we're going to write it as plus or minus big old square root of 1 plus cosine of A. A is that 225 degrees. And then that's all over 2. So 225 degrees is in quadrant 3 with a special angle of 45 degrees. So both are going to be rad 2 over 2, and both will be negative. So our cosine of 225 degrees is negative rad 2 over 2. First thing I'll do is I'll multiply top and bottom by this inner denominator. So multiply top and bottom by 2. Don't forget to distribute the 2 to the 1 and the negative rad 2 over 2. So I get plus or minus square root of 2 minus rad 2 all over 4. Now I can distribute the square root to the numerator and the denominator, and the square root of 4 is just 2. Now I need to decide, is this positive or negative? Because the formula itself does not tell me. So really, when I decide if it's positive or negative, I need to be looking at cosine of 112.5 degrees. So that's going to be somewhere in quadrant 2, and my cosine of 112.5 degrees will be negative. Therefore, my final answer is negative square root of 2 minus rad 2 all over 2. The one thing to look out for here is there's actually two different angles that we're interested in. We're interested in the 225, so we have to decide here if my cosine of 225 degrees is negative. But then and that's because it's in quadrant 3. But then our overall angle is talking about cosine of 112 degrees. So we also have to look at 112 degrees, what quadrant is that in, to decide if the cosine is positive or negative. And that determines this negative right here. So that tells us that that one is negative. B, sine of pi over 8. One way to do this is we could figure out what pi over 8 is in degrees. You could do that on your own, or find out that that's going to be the same as sine as 22.5 degrees. So now clearly it's not a special angle, so I need to use my half angle. Also, you want to notice I can't use like a sine of an A plus B, because no two special angles will add to be 22.5 degrees. I always choose to use the identities for sums and differences if I can. Only when that doesn't work will I use the half angle. So now we need to figure out, I need to write 22.5 as something over 2. So intuitively you might think, oh, well, I just have to double that number. But the way I like to write it is just go, okay, 2 times 22.5 degrees, 2 times 22.5 degrees is 45 degrees. Aha, there's our special angle. So again, notice this is sine of an A over 2. And so my next step is going to be plus or minus square root of 1 minus cosine of A over 2. So my A here, you can see, is 45 degrees. So cosine of 45 will go in here. And for 45 degrees, our cosine will be square root of 2 over 2. So again, we'll multiply numerator and denominator inside the radical by 2. And really at any stage, we can decide if it's positive or negative. So I'll do it earlier now, and you can kind of choose which way you like. So sine of 22.5 degrees, this 22.5 degrees is just in quadrant 1. So the sine of 22.5 degrees is positive. So we're going to get a positive for the overall answer. So distributing the 2 to the numerator, and then now we'll break up the square root. So our final answer is the square root of 2 minus rad 2 all over 2. Example 2, find the exact value of tangent of 157.5 degrees using half angle identities. You might want to push pause and give this one a try. Now for the half angle identities for tangent, we actually have 3 different options. So we can see this first one is a little cumbersome algebraically, so we'll go ahead and use one of these other 2. Since there's only one number in the denominator for this last one, I will go ahead and use that one. We first noticed that 157.5 degrees is not a special angle, and it has a decimal, so we know we're going to likely need the half angle identities. So we have to figure out tangent of something divided by 2 is 157.5. So intuitively, we could just double that number or write out this form where we do 2 times that angle divided by 2. You leave the 2 on the bottom since we are trying to get that, and you just multiply 2 times 157.5. So we get tangent of 315 over 2. So I will write tangent of a over 2, and we're going to use that last one is the same as 1 minus cosine of a all over sine a. Notice our a is that 315. So we get 1 minus cosine of a is 315 degrees, all over sine of 315 degrees. So now we need to figure out, okay, 315 degrees is in quadrant 4, reference angle 45. So both x and y will be rad 2 over 2. The x is positive, the y is negative. Therefore, my sine will be a negative rad 2 over 2 on the bottom, and my cosine will be a positive. So on the top, we get 1 minus rad 2 over 2. First thing we'll do is we will clear the denominators, and I'm going to go ahead and clear the negative at the same time. We do not want negatives in the denominator of our final answer. So on the top, we get negative 2 plus rad 2. So here, this minus times a negative gives us that positive, and the 2's cancel. On the bottom, negative times a negative is a positive, and the 2's cancel. Now we can rationalize the denominator by multiplying top and bottom by rad 2, making sure to distribute once again. So we get negative 2 rad 2 plus rad 4, or 2, all over 2. And now we can see that all of these 2's could cancel. So I like to write each term divided by 2. So now we see our final answer is negative rad 2 plus 1. So the tangent of 157.5 degrees is negative rad 2 plus 1. Now, because rad 2 is bigger than 1, this will be a negative, which is consistent considering 157.5 degrees is in quadrant 2 and tangent is negative in quadrant 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.